Today we're going to be talking to Jess. What's up, you guys? Today we're going to be talking to Jessica of Jessica and the Rainbow. She's someone that I knew while I was living in Grand Rapids. I saw her actually for the first time performing at Lamplight Festival, which used to be a festival in Grand Rapids that happened in a bunch of different houses along this one, like kind of in this one neighborhood. They weren't all on the same street, but it was really unique because it would just be in these like attics or living rooms of these different houses, and she performed there, I believe, as Jessica and the Rainbow, but she's also a part of a band, Cloudlight, and I just fell in love with her voice. It was very unique, so she's about to come on and we're going to talk to her. Now we wait. Hello! I was just talking about how we first met, and it's so funny because the way we first met was you performed at Lamplight, and then I'm pretty sure I just like ran after you and was like, your voice is so beautiful.
I think you ran our sound for Cloudlight.
Oh, you're right.
You co-ran it, yeah.
And then I chased after you and
Yeah.
complimented you.
Yeah, I played as Jessica and the Rainbow the year before that, yeah.
Okay.
Aww.
Because I also remembered, because when I talked to you, you were by your car, and your car had all these rainbow stickers on it. I was like, wow, I love it. That's awesome.
I'm soothing myself because I get anxiety at silly things.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you, Laylee.
Go for it.
I was wondering why I was back on.
I love it.
Okay.
It's very ambient. One thing I wanted to ask you about, so just to fill everyone in, when I made the ad, I didn't capitalize your the. And then you informed me that that's meaningful to you. So I'm just curious why you chose that.
Holy crap. That is a big one to start with. Holy shit. Okay, I can do this. I can do it. I can do hard things. I have a post blowing up like crazy on Reddit today, and I just joined Reddit like a week ago just because I was going to start live streaming. It was Brian's idea.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, there's Brian. Hey, Brian.
Yeah, he's talking about my sound skills.
Exactly. So why the capital T the? So first of all, like Spotify didn't let you do weird caps way back when I signed it up there. So my the is lowercase on Spotify. But in my world where I got to choose my name, you know, I guess if I were to say the origins of my name, it has like lots of different origins that kind of come together. And it's almost one of those things that came to me like an inspiration and then later came to mean some things. But I would say if I had to say it shorter, although this might be the one perfect form where I don't have to constantly edit myself.
Yeah.
Rambler, right? So I think when Spotify changed it to the lowercase t, I felt like it was missing the meaning. And when I first picked an uppercase T with a lowercase I for I was like, this is really weird. Why am I being this weird? Because at that time, I have like a lot of trauma and a lot of my music and my persona, I was gonna say persona, but it's not intentional. A lot of myself is like trauma healing. That's like part of how I've come to understand life and how I use music to understand life. And I've been doing that since I was like, I'd say when I was a really little kid, like elementary school, writing tons of songs. That wasn't trauma healing, but like my friend died of a brain tumor when I was in 5th grade. And so I wrote a song for her, and then it was put on, I performed it for the whole school. And so a lot came to understand music was trauma healing for myself or for others. And so then, you know, suddenly being that catalyst for the school and just doing that, I think that became what felt like my personal calling. And so I guess, yeah, back when I was making up the name for this, which I think was 2013, at the time, maybe I could say that the capital T was kind of like, it's not like a lowercase t means like any old rainbow, but a capital T kind of means like the whole thing, like the big picture, like the whole universe, all of the color that fits together, all of the light, all of the ways that we're like all different from each other, and yet we all fit together. And like we need to like be looking at that, and we need to be like trying to do that. And like I feel like the other just feels so like small to me compared to that. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess It's just oh, thine rainbow. Thanks, Brian.
Gosh, was I supposed to write that? No, I'm just kidding.
So that's a good one. Jessica in thine rainbow. I don't know. Feels a little weird. Feels
Sounds a little too medieval, I think. That's
good,
awesome,
Brian.
though. And
We're
I get
talking
it.
modern times, Brian. All
Yeah,
right.
get with the program. No, I like that. And I understand. I mean, it's like if you think of like a proper noun, it makes it seem like official. Like you're
Right.
saying, like it's not just any rainbow, it's the rainbow.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool. I've always really liked your name too. I think for a more kind of superficial reason, because it's just like very pretty sounding. I mean, who doesn't like a rainbow, you know?
That makes me happy actually because I usually feel like the name's a little too weird. That was the other piece of naming it. That was that I knew a band that called themselves. It was half inspired by this band called Gifts or Creatures, and at the time I was going to call myself Jessica and the Rainbow because that's more normal sounding, right? Like that's just like a name. And then like I've had bandmates. That was part of the inspiration. Was like, oh, three people could play with me one day, zero people one day, seven people one day, and it'd be like, oh, it's like a band name. And
Right.
I saw Gifts or Creatures, and I was like, Gifts or Creatures? What a weird band name. And like, who says or in their band name? And I just remember being like really inspired, like, oh, your band name could like say the point of your life, or it could say your meaning. So I was like, oh,
Yes.
well, at the time I was healing from some really heavy stuff. And I was like, oh, I want to be like in the rainbow. Like, I don't want to just be like, hey, it's me and my sidekicks. Like, no, I'm in it because we all need to
Yes.
be in this. And, because healing or the opposite of healing, I don't know.
I
I
love
believe
that.
things can be healed from, so I got to live that.
That's super powerful. And I feel like it's also crazy because like your voice was so impactful to me that I chased you down to your car to let you know after running your sound. And my perspective from hearing your voice, like it's so interesting to hear you talk about your music as like kind of, I don't want to speak for you, but this kind of painful
Mm.
process of healing and positive process of healing obviously as well, but like when you hear your voice it's like a siren, like you were to like be in a boat and go by a mermaid or something and be like, whoa, what is that? Like it's like ethereal sounding. So it's interesting how like the way you speak about it kind of contrasts my experience as a listener because it's like beautified
Mm.
through your sound.
Um, Thank you.
Of course.
Love you. And I actually remember you using the word siren in the. So remember, like I didn't have many reviews at that time. I was struggling with how unknown I felt. I still feel unknown all the time because whatever. It's who knows. Who knows what any of our purpose. Like I just try not to fixate on that now. But and you wrote this article, and I remember you using the word siren in it, and I was like, whoa, like that hit me then so much so that I remembered that you said that because I think yeah, I don't know that we ever can have an accurate perception of ourselves.
Yeah.
So okay, because I actually think you touched on a really important point. Um, so if anyone ever wants to watch me ramble for a million hours, I'm not trying to self promote. Well, that's the point of this. So hi, I have a
Go
YouTube
for
channel,
it.
800 videos where all I do is ramble and sometimes burst into song. Like that's what I do. And I was realizing that one of the people close to me that watched it one time, I think was a little confused by. So I'll be talking and I'll be like, da, 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 like energy, 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 and then I'll go into a song and I'll almost self-soothe because I'll have accidentally worked myself up into anxiety. And I think that, and maybe I just drink too much coffee, but I think that, but I was also just teaching my piano students like 5, 10 minutes before we started. So I'm kind of hyper right now.
That's okay.
Because I had a bunch of kids back to back and I try to give all of myself. Um,
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, I think that I think you're right. I think that just because what the music is about for me is trauma healing doesn't mean that I think the music sounds painful. So I think you're
Yeah.
right. I think I'm using the music to self-soothe because otherwise if just left alone in my brain, I
It's
like yeah.
dark, and the lightness of your music
Mm-hmm.
uplifts that mindset. I totally feel that. And it's truly like, I don't know, listening to your voice and then thinking about the name in the rainbow, it really is like you're just like sitting in that cloud at the end of the rainbow, like, oh, everything is just fine. But before I butter you up too much.
Yeah, I didn't realize this would just be me trying to take in compliments because that's not one of my strengths, but I'm working on it. I am getting better at it. Like
You're
I
doing good.
exist and I'm real and people can see me. And like part of like being useful in the world is accepting compliments. So thank
It
you.
is hard. You're
Thank you for
you're
seeing me.
fine. I totally understand that. I struggle with accepting compliments. My cop out is I always say, I appreciate you seeing me that way.
Mm.
Instead of just saying thank you, I'm like, I get you think that, but I don't think that. You know what I mean? And I've
Holy,
realized that's like deflection.
no, it's not. It's wisdom. Holy crap. Let me tell you about your wisdom.
Oh my God,
So
yay.
just the other day, I realized that so if I don't know how to take compliments, it's because it's all inside of it's like being trapped inside the self. So if I'm trapped
Right.
inside the self and then either someone's ignoring me and that makes me feel in myself, or someone's complimenting me and that feels in myself, like we're talking about me, that's trapped inside the self. But what you said by responding, I appreciate you seeing me that way, that's out of the self. And that's
True.
actually true, because why do I actually like compliments? Because 99% of my life, 99.999% of my life is being stuck inside myself. And if somebody compliments you and validates you and says, I see you, that pulls you immediately into them. You're out of,
Yes.
that's like a really good, I love that feeling. And I forget to tell people that the reason that the words they've said, I remember one woman, a note she gave to me when I lived in Chicago. A woman gave me a note after a set. I mean, yeah, I was going to say, woman's accurate, but I mean, she had to be like kind of a young woman at the time, and I could tell she was going through some stuff. And she came up to me afterwards, like middle school, and like handed.
Oh,
I mean, I remember almost all the words. It was just so powerful, and it's weird to think like, yeah, that at the time I thought that that was like me collecting. This sounds like I don't know how to describe it. I actually think like a lot of empaths, or I don't know how to describe it, but it sent me both into myself, but also like into her. Like she became a part of my life, and that's
yeah.
for the whole. So it's like compliments are like a way to get completely out of the self in a way. I don't know, girl.
I
I'm
feel
trying
what
to
you're saying.
compliment you, and I'm getting lost in the thoughts on.
No, I appreciate that perspective because I always felt as though I was deflecting, but you're right. It's just acknowledging that I exist in my head and I exist in these people's heads and they think nice stuff, which is cool.
Exactly. Like maybe some people assume that most people are either not thinking of them or are thinking not nice things. And so when
Right.
people go out of their way to like let you know, no, this is how you made me feel, like that's a moment of vulnerability for them. That's like let
Yes.
and like if someone like see like my nephew just joined us. Like when people are I love you, Nick. Hi. When people are willing to not have a guard up and like let you know like I think you're great, or you mean a lot to me, or your voice affects me this way, like that's them letting down their guard instead of doing
Yes.
the middle schooler thing of like, yeah, I'm not, and holding
I'm
it all
too
in.
cool to
It's the
compliment.
opposite. Like you
Yeah.
actually chased after me, you just told a crowd of people you chased after me, like that is so vulnerable and giving. I try nowadays to surround myself with people like that, with people like you, like that's what I need, is like
That's
people
awesome.
who can do that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm excited.
That's powerful. I like that. I think that's a thing that you touch on a lot too, is that aspect of vulnerability. And I definitely went through a stage of like feeling challenged by that, especially like navigating the music industry. There's so many like cool people, they're like cool. And I'm like, oh, at first I was like, I want to be cool. But then I was like, it doesn't really feel that good to be cool. It feels better to like
People,
feel honestly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It's really strange that some of the coolest people I know both want to be cool, are cool because you are cool, but but a lot of the coolest people I know, part of what I think is kind of what's so cool about them is that they're still willing to be warm, and so you
Yes.
is extremely warm. And so that, see, I can't actually just hold compliments in. If you throw them at me, I'm going to throw them back. But that is true. That's how I sense. That's how I experience you. It's just, and so maybe that's where Yeah, and I actually don't have anything against, I was going to say cool people, but I don't think it's as simple as that. I think it's sort of just like some people learn to navigate life by holding in. And,
Right.
and oh, thanks, Brian. People already think you're cool, but you just don't know. And that is, I've had to learn that. It's just like coolness has more to do with other people's perception. But
So
like,
true.
how do I want to navigate the world? Well, I want to navigate the world with warmth. And why was
Yes.
I trying so hard? I wrote a poem. It's on my blog. It's called like Cool Kid Suicide. And I was trying to kill the part of myself that was obsessed with being a cool kid. And this is like as an adult. But it's like I was just stuck in middle school in my mind of like, did I do this right? Am I doing this right? Am I impressing the right people? You know?
Yes.
And that sort of seeking is so strange because what if the people I'm seeking to impress, what if they're just holding back because that's just how they navigate the world? And
Yes.
I'm like, please look at me like a puppy dog. It's like, dude, just let them navigate how they navigate. Let me navigate how you know. And so I had to like kind of take a step back from that without any anger. Just like, oh, we kind of just navigate differently. And I navigate with like an insane amount of words that would like overwhelm a lot of people. You know? But like
I get
that's
what you
cool, and
mean.
they come off like so chill, and it's like that's them, and it's just
Yeah.
and
And
then
that's cool too. Yeah, exactly. That's super beautiful and powerful. One thing that's always interested me is like you described when we got on this interview that you were feeling a little anxious, and I'm not sure if that was about like being on the live or what aspect of it, but like you sing in front of people and that like really freaks me out. Like I could never do that. So like what do you feel? Like do you feel nervous before you sing or what?
um, hmm, there's so many ways I could answer that. I want to talk a little bit about my voice and like uh, praying and like my weird spiritual life, but I also want to talk a little bit about show day anxiety, as I call it.
Okay.
So I'll start with that because that's the easier one. I realized that I don't have stage fright at all. I don't have any. I don't have an ounce of it. I didn't when I was in fifth grade, trying to help heal my whole school. You know, I didn't know. I felt like a vessel. Like, okay, I guess I'm singing all of these original songs for my classmates. Like it was that, and and being so on the stage, totally fine. Like I was Alice in Alice in Wonderland in fifth grade. So like once I'm there,
Wow.
you know, and like, well, thank you for the wow, but it was, you know,
Oh,
like
that's the main character.
I worked very hard, but then later was confused when I didn't keep getting big part. Whatever, that's a whole other bag of worms. But so I don't think I have as much stage fright because I think I do thrive. Um, I do thrive in the energy of people when I kind of know my part. Um, Brian just put pre-show jitters, and I'm sorry that I can't keep my train of thought and
It's
read all of
okay.
these amazing comments, but I do have to. That one's funny because he's been in a band with me, and it is true. I get pre-show jitters, but that's in cloud life. But anyway, point being, yes, I have what I call day of show anxiety, and I think it's more about getting all of the gear ready, making sure you don't forget anything, who's going to come, who's not going to come, did I promote enough, did I do all the right things, and that's like good studentism. um so the anxiety that I acknowledged and was like, I'm just going to play soothing songs when we started.
Yeah.
I think that comes down to more to unknowns. So as much as I love interviews, obviously. I love to talk. I love an opportunity to share all these things that I feel and believe, and it just flows and it's great. And I adore you. So I was just like, yes, I always wanted to go on this one. So I think it's just unknowns. I think it's just, ooh, I don't know
Yeah.
what I'll say. I don't know if I'll say something weird but I wasn't. I said to Brian when he checked like a minute before and said, hey, and but I was like, I'm not nervous. I'm not. I think I misuse the word anxiety sometimes. I think I just have excitement and I have energy. It's sort of like an energy and an excitement that's appropriate to the situation. And
Yeah.
I think I
But
spent so many years trying to like mute myself, not completely mute, but just like dim myself, my light or my, and because of that, I am self conscious about it because I use
I
so much
totally know what you
to a
mean.
lot of people. Yeah.
I
So
totally know what you mean too. Like, it's kind of like, I mean, before anything, like, you have the energy as though, like, maybe like as though you're already in the interview, but you're not in the interview yet. So it's like energy that doesn't quite know where to go. And then once you get in it, it's like, oh, this energy has a purpose now and it goes in this direction.
right, exactly. That's hilarious. Yeah, you're like ramping up all day long or whatever. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
what were you going to say too? You mentioned prayer and spirituality in relation to this question.
My mind literally went like, okay, and then maybe that part will just get forgotten.
Nope.
Not talk about that.
I'm a
I mean,
professional. I'm just kidding.
my new office chair. Change. No, I'm kidding. I mean, part of my cool kid suicide poem that I wrote, I think it was November of last year, is very recent that I started even mentioning the word God. And part of what gave me courage was like, okay, Sufjan Stevens, all of his music is about like Catholicism and God. So I was like, okay, Jess, just get some courage. Couldn't It did not matter how much I wanted to be somebody who could just casually say the word God. I had so much trauma from my own life that mixed it. Like I lived in New York City during 9/11. That's
Wow.
a story. But like I was an atheist at the time, and when I moved away from there, I was going to church again. And it's like that's a really grotesque summarization of that. But and I don't care what anyone else believes. So I'm not. That's why I don't like to talk about it because I don't want to evangelize. I don't want to. And some people do, and I respect that. So I'm just like I'm so in this like area like I want to just go down into my little I was gonna say hole but like rainbow I don't know where we're just like what's true for me is true for me but I really don't want it to offend you
Right.
anyone, not you but anyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I would say the hardest place for me with that is in like kind of the music scene, the indie music scene. I kind of felt like if I started talking about spirituality or God or anything that was like social suicide. That's kind of how I felt it was. And some of that turned out to feel true, not be true, but just feel true. Like, oh, I'm
Right.
this person now, or I'm the and this is all probably just in my head. So anyway, so back to how is it spiritually related the anxiety? I mean, or how it feels to sing in front of people. I guess I would say to answer that question, um, ever since I first started really performing out, and this was after long phases of not performing out. Um, like I said, elementary school, middle school, to put myself out there. And then some of it going badly. All my friends in middle school turned on me. I think they got sick of teachers being so excited about me and putting on school-wide concerts of me or winning statewide awards or who knows why people got sick of me. I mean, I know why. I see not like other people in a lot of ways, and I'm never trying to do that to put out anyone else's light or to make anyone else feel bad. And so there's just a lot of places I think I don't totally fit easily. And so because of that, I spent a lot of time translating that in my child brain, middle school, growing into high school. I translated that as, well, then stop being yourself. Put yourself out. Like don't do that because you're making people uncomfortable being you. And the fact that then when I like in my and I'm probably quite a bit older than you, like in my mid-20s when I know I'm quite a bit older, when I was in my mid-20s and I was just like, okay, I say I'm a singer-songwriter, but I won't play any shows. Or I say I'm a singer-songwriter and I won't even go to an open mic. Like I lived in
Right.
years and I didn't play stuff. So you don't know that side of me. So that's my
Mm-hmm.
history is this like child celebrated in a huge crowd, my entire school. But because they turned on me, because it gave me so much negative attention, I just thought maybe I should not be that. So anyway, and I later became that and I started putting myself out there. Um, I would say that my voice was a reflection of my confidence. I still think this. And so sometimes when I would be practicing, my voice would crack, break. It would not sound good at all. So when you say to me like that, when you say like confidence on stage, I guess what I learned to do ever since I was in Chicago and starting to perform was I learned I just have to like kind of pray before and just be like, okay, if you want me doing this, like I will do this.
Right.
It would be like freaky that in the morning I would sing and it would be cracking and it wouldn't sound good. And then I would do that and then I would sing and it would sound great. And I felt great. And I was like,
Yeah.
so for me, that was like some weird, like, and I wasn't even into like spirituality that strongly then. It was more just like this weird feeling of like, I don't know, yeah, like something else wants me to be doing this.
Interesting. Like you're like channeling this energy and your ability to do so is like an affirmation, like I am supposed to be doing this.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
so cool.
Felt like an affirmation. It felt like I can't do this. My voice is too broken from all the trauma, from all of the fear, from all of the anxiety. When I try, I'm not, I can't do it. When I don't try, Yeah, that's it. It was like an affirmation feeling. Anyway.
That's so cool. See, I'm glad I had you say that. Like, I guided you to remembering that you were going to say that.
It's awkward. I won't lie. That was the hardest part to talk about so far. Everything else has been easy. But no, and that's just my own insecurities. We can move on.
No, another thing that you mentioned that I've been really curious about, and I've caught a few of your YouTube videos, but definitely not the full catalog, which is
No.
super impressive that you've made 800 videos. Like, that's extreme vulnerability, first of all, because pretty much obviously anyone can watch it and interpret it however they want. But like, what was your intention when you started making these, and how has it maybe changed through this process?
Okay, that's a good question. It has very much changed. I would say that where I'm at right now is the part I'm the most embarrassed of. So, but no, I'm coming out of that. In the last few months, I'm finally coming out of it and it feels amazing.
Good.
So, when I started the YouTubing, can I talk about politics on this show?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
There's
So, I
no
started it in,
censorship here.
okay. So, I started it in late 2016 and I announced my 365 songs in 365 days challenge that I was
Yes.
going to do on YouTube. I announced it on Inauguration Day in 2017. So there, I'm just letting people know why I did that. And basically, at that time, I was one of those people who released like one album every 5 years. And I never shared online, social media. If I did, it was very crafted and it was almost never like, or if I did, it was like, oh, other people are just sharing a whimsical looking picture of a boat with a filter. I better do that too. And I'm not
Okay.
criticizing people for following, but that's what I was before 2017. Clearly, I'm not that now. So that's why I give you that for context. So in 2017, I was like, okay, I had been, at that time, I had been writing hundreds of songs a year since 2008.
Wow.
And that anybody can do that if you want to, because what it was there's a challenge called 5090.org, I think, and there's another
Okay.
one called FAWM, FAWM, February Album Writing Month. Anybody can sign up for these. They are free. It's an international community. And basically, I went from being somebody who very meticulously wrote about 10 songs a year, and that was prior to 2008, all the way back to being 3 years old, very meticulously, intentionally wrote songs, to
Yeah.
2008 with those challenges and that global energy of like, hey, we're just writing 50 songs in 90 days. That's just what we do in this community. And with that energy and that support, I just started writing things that I thought were terrible. Like, I was like, ew, you guys, I can't share this. And they're like, no, just do it, just to finish the challenge. So like, but they're awful. And I actually just put those up on my jessicafogel.bandcamp.com like last week. And then just the raw recordings of like 10 albums of stuff from like 2008 to like 2012 or something. And just 10 albums of crazy. And they're like,
Wow.
they really, some of the lyrics don't make any sense. Potatoes, they're about anything. And,
Right.
but the challenge. And so I credit that to being like when my writer's block kind of stopped blocking. And now, so I knew, so before 2017, I started noticing that in my insecurity, I was constantly saying, I write hundreds of songs a year. And I realized people might be interpreting that as like braggy, braggy, braggy. And I wasn't meaning it that way. I was just kind of trying to be like, I'm an open vessel, even if it's crap. I
Yeah.
was really just meaning like, if you want help and you want to talk through this, like the most common thing that I tell people who have writer's block is it's two separate parts of the brain. I learned this, I think, from Julia Cameron, best book ever, The Artist's Way.
Oh,
And
nice.
the two separate parts of the brain being like the creative one and then like the editor, right? Left and right brain. And the thing she basically taught in there is don't try to edit at the same time you create. So this 50-90 thing, and don't try to create at the same time you edit. So a lot of people, they'll scribble out lines they don't like, but in that same moment of I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, to their own page, they're expecting themselves to think of something great to replace it. And
Right.
they can't go together. That's the literal opposite thing in the brain. So because I became such a strong believer in that, I was throwing this comment around like I write hundreds of songs a year, but I was trying to do it upliftingly. Like,
Yes.
and so can anyone. They're just crap sometimes, but they're sometimes ones I love. Kind of like you would love all your babies if you had hundreds of babies a year, right? So I was saying that, but I was in 2017. I was like, I keep announcing who I am, but not like sharing who I am. And that was true. I really wasn't. And then I saw a crazy person turn into a politician and then be crazy all over Twitter and the internet. And I was like, wait, crazy, dominant, abusive people feel free to speak. Why does nice person feel unfree to speak? Like,
Yeah.
why do all the warm-hearted, tender-hearted people of the world feel so self-critical? And yet some of these crazy ass, narcissists feel free to say literally anything anytime they want. So I'm like, this is wrong. This is ethically wrong. And something like flipped on in me. I actually used to say something flipped on in me. I didn't know it would flip on this much. I didn't know I'd be 800 videos on YouTube. It's terrifying to think back on. Roll with it. It's all good. But like, yeah, in 2017, that was it. It was like, I'm going to write a song every day for a year. I announced it like a challenge. And that's what I said. I'm like, I'm going to write a song every day for a year. And so in the beginning, so to answer your question, in the beginning, it was always songs with maybe like once every 10 to 20 songs, I would do what I used to call a check-in video. And I would do what I'm doing right now. I would just ramble, oh, this challenge feels weird. And I'd be like, ah. And then over time, well, I'm very affected by people and their feedback. So one person, his name's Jesse, he told me at a show at the DAC, he came up to me afterwards. He's like, I love that you're doing this challenge. He's like, but I hope this isn't offensive. I actually like your talking videos more than your songs. And I was like, it was kind of offensive, but not
I am offended.
I never know how to feel about anything ever. I mean, you can get lost and feel good about it one time and then who knows.
That's interesting though.
Kind,
yeah, the part.
So then that's why it evolved to that. Yeah.
Yeah, the part that you were doing less of, like, people just want to hear the songs. They don't really want to hear me talk, so I'll just talk every once in a while, but mainly it's the songs. And then for someone to be like, actually, that part you're holding in is the part that I enjoy the most.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that so weird? We think sometimes we have it figured out, like, what people like about us, and then it winds up being, like, the opposite. It's like, you like that thing?
Exactly. I mean, I may have gone too far. Now I have like hour-long talking videos with like 2 songs buried inside of them that maybe no one will ever even find. But like at the same time, like, I don't know. I'm finding it to be so to finish answering your question, the final button, I really want you to talk more, but I'm just like the button of it is that I would say is that over the 3 years, it sometimes is a bunch of songs. Like right now, there's just a 3-song video written in a random hotel room. That's the last one up there. But sometimes it is talking, and it just kind of, I feel like now it just kind of ebbs and flows. It's whatever, if I stop at a place and I want to write a song dedicated to Nebraska, I write a song dedicated to Nebraska. But if I want to just ramble for an hour, because the main thing that I've found, I never meant this to be true, but the check-in videos kind of showed me that it's vlogging. It's a safe place to work through some things. And not really safe if I had a ton of followers telling me like, that thought's crazy, but I don't have, I have like, I think 103 followers and they're not watching every video. So it's like a safe space in the sense of like, I feel safe to become myself. And if I got a bunch of criticism, then I deal with it and I respond to them. But it feels safe now, and it feels less intentional, I guess would be an answer to it. It's just kind of flowy and like,
I think also, like, whether people say it or not, like, hearing someone else, like, you described, like, that might be a crazy thought or something, like, I think people on the internet, first of all, are just kind of, like, douchebags, so you kind of think about that, but, like, the average person that's actually, like, listening positively, most of the time they're going to hear those crazy thoughts and be like, oh my God, someone else feels that way. Thank God. Like, I've been thinking that I was crazy, but she feels it too. So it feels a lot less crazy. Like, I used to be super secretive about my anxiety. And then I just started realizing that it was cathartic to me. Like, if I was having a panic attack, to be like, hey, I'm freaking out right now. This is what I'm feeling. Like, can you help me feel a little better about it? And like, very few times were people ever like, that's ridiculous. Like, the average person would be like, oh, okay, like, do you want to do some deep breathing or do you want to talk about it? Like, most people will meet you where you're at and like share a moment of vulnerability. You're kind of like opening the door and being like, come on, we're being weird over here. You can be weird too. I did it first.
I think you're totally right. Maybe that's really what my dream is. I guess I've never thought of it that way. I think my dream is like the most people who follow me are like fellow creatives. And those are the people I tend to get the most feedback from. And I only in the last year started thinking like what if it's not about like the music as much as it's about like a ripple effect among a whole creative community? Like what if
Yeah.
that and just we all are affecting each other. Like
Which is so powerful. Sometimes before these interviews, people get really nervous and they'll be like, "What are you going to ask me? What are you going to do?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It's just a conversation."
right?
And then I'll see like their nervousness in the beginning and they'll be talking as though we're in like a job interview or something. So then I'll just mess up and be like, "What now? Now I messed up and I'm the host of this thing. What are we going to do?" And then they're automatically just like, well, if she messed up, who cares what I do?
Yes.
And like, I think just like breaking down that wall of like expectations, like, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. And if we strive for this perfection, will actually be less interesting than if we were just honest and open.
Mm,
Like, the
that's beautiful.
authenticity of a mistake is like one of the most relatable things ever. It's like,
So,
wow, thank God they're not really invincible or perfect. Like, I can relate now.
oh my gosh.
We're on
That,
a roll,
that's
Jessica.
beautiful. That, that was so beautiful.
That's so cool that you do that in your YouTube videos, and now I'm gonna really lurk on them. But so you're in Jessica and the Rainbow, and we kind of covered that. That seems very personal to you. And I know sometimes there are people who collaborate with you on those songs, and I feel like they integrate with your sounds really effectively. But Cloudlight is definitely feels more like a collaborative effort where it's like, obviously it just isn't you headlining. It's like
Yeah.
everyone's participating in a more equal sense, I feel like. So what is that process like creating in that way?
Hmm. Well, so Cloudlight is a little bit on hiatus right now, just because, yeah, you're exactly right. Cloudlight is more of like a traditional band. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
band, and I've never been in a band before. I guess I could count a couple things. So this is my first real experience with that. I mean, right now we're a three-piece, and we're kind of looking for a drummer. But are you looking for a drummer when it's a quarantine and you're not really planning to work on this? And we've been a four piece and we've, had ebbs and flows with all of that. And we toured together last year and it was amazing. And, there's highs and lows. I think my way of, yeah, and everyone I'm sure can tell how I work. So it's sort of like when I, it's very like channeled and express. It's very like very solitary. It comes through and comes out. And so
Yeah.
yeah, a band is almost the exact opposite of that. I would say that like a band, like other things are so much more similar to creating music by yourself than being in a band. Like kind of like creating music by yourself might be like gardening by yourself, like any other creative thing by yourself, writing a novel by yourself, anything that's
Painting,
developed
whatever.
by yourself. Yeah, you wouldn't paint a painting collaboratively with four people. Oh, you
It would
could.
be hard.
Crazy. It'd be so different. It'd be like a weird, fun social experiment.
Yeah.
Like a band is like so. I never knew they were that different. I never knew that collaborating like with hired people, like I've worked with like producers in like studios or something, and then like you pay them to like bring their vision on board, but then it's obvious like what the dynamic is. Like it's just yeah, a band is but I love it. So like the music, the specific, I mean, because that's why you ran after me apparently. The music creates. I mean, right now, me, Brian, Mackenzie, like, yeah, we don't get together because it's like all kinds of reasons, right? But it's like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, yeah, there's songs ready to be recorded, and what's the experience? I mean, it's all over the place. It's like we typically, I will say, like the type of band that Cloudlight was kind of like a individual writers of a song for the most part.
Okay. Okay.
So my writing process was still the same way it is in Jessica and the Rainbow. It'd be like I'd write a song, but then you bring that song to the band, and then the band fills in the parts, and everybody has opinions or everyone has visions and their own magic that and it's oh yeah. The worst time I ever had being in a band and a solo project at the same time was also one of the most enlightening times I ever had being in a solo project in a band at the same time. And it was, I booked a show down in Kalamazoo. It was at a house show called Unicorn something or other. I don't remember. Rancho Unicorno. And so going, and then I knew that Cloudlight was also trying to book some stuff around that time. And so I just kind of like, cause I'm very like impulsive, like you've seen me, like I'm like collecting show. We do house shows here constantly, or we used to.
Yeah.
Or like making compilation albums, hundreds of people. And so I'm just like, I'm very passionate about community. And so, so I was just like, oh, I have an inn. I know these people in Kalamazoo, and I knew Cloudlight one. So I just asked them, like, well, can Cloudlight play too? And they were like, sure. So in other words, my show in Kalamazoo was me opening for my own band.
Oh, that's intense.
It was great. Yeah, because the worst part about that is then you end up kind of cross-referencing, like, what reactions do I get on this? How did this? And you kind of, because now you have like the same crowd, and it just, so that was like, it was not comfortable. It's not the worst. It was just not comfortable, but it was so enlightening. And in fact, I sent myself into like a spiral of like thinking, well, Jessica and the Rainbow's worse than Cloudlight. And I did that for Ron Brian's like, what are you talking about? Like, stop. Like, I just got negative for no real reason.
Yeah.
But I think it was like my sort of kind of child brain / trauma brain way of understanding just how different things resonate. And it was hard for me to kind of really come to terms with, or like I took looping lessons with Jess Kramer, one of my friends, and like she kind of helped me kind of build a sound a little bigger. And I had to come to terms with that like when I lived in Chicago, they really truly like the sound of a live piano in a room. I always played at 2 venues, Gallery Cabaret and the Orphanage on the South Side. You remind me of all the Orphanage people. Oh my gosh, it was such an amazing crowd. I played at a house show called Cat Mafia, and like, oh my gosh. Okay, that's another tangent on it. But in Chicago, for whatever reason, I could play just piano vocal, and it really resonated. And then for some, I just didn't feel that same feeling in Grand Rapids. And then, so then that show in Kalamazoo was kind of like a real quick moment of contrast. Like, oh,
yes.
That's me versus. And so after that, after getting a little self-hating, then I started building my Jessica and the Rainbow sound and like adding backing tracks or adding ambient random extra things or like switching between ukulele and just kind of trying to mix up that sound. So
that's interesting.
But that kind of is like, I feel like being in a band kind of taught me the value of, I think this is still related to your question. I think being in a band taught me the value of sort of the overall sonic spectrum that a person's experiencing versus what I came from, which is really truly just being a singer-songwriter and not really much about that and just thinking about the chords and the singing and all that. Yeah.
Which, I feel like both are so powerful, and maybe, like you're saying, in different environments with different audiences that value different things, it could be the most impactful thing ever to one room. In the other room, that's got to be hard, like, because it doesn't change. It's not a true judgment. It's not like you were bad because of that experience and you had to come to terms with that, but maybe you didn't get as good of a reaction. So then your kind of critical mind is like, well, we got this really good reaction as a band, but then I didn't as a solo artist. So why did that happen if we're not better as a band?
Exactly. And the worst part was I didn't factor in things like something that came clear to me on tour. Again, there's so many challenges to each. And there's so many blessings to each and positives to each. And like on tour, I realized like some of my show day anxiety went away because other people were picking up the slack in areas of my weakness.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, that was part of what happened in Kalamazoo. It was like on stage in Kalamazoo, whenever there was a lull for a second, my sort of anxiety would crop up and I would just ramble. And in a band, I just didn't feel the need to do that as much. I felt like I got my peeps.
Just,
and so I could just be a little more chill, and then that helps the room be more chill. So it's hard to pick your audience at the level we were.
That's so true, though, too. Like, because if you're performing, like, let's just say you perform at the Pyramid Scheme. I'm just coming up with a venue we both know. Mm-hmm. And, at your level, because you're, and I don't mean this in any way, but you're not like Lizzo. So it's not like all Lizzo's fans are going to show up. It's like the people who generally go to the Pyramid Scheme are going to show up. And then will they vibe with you or will they not? It's kind of like a crapshoot. Like maybe everyone will feel it so deeply and it will be a huge thing. Or maybe they really should have gone to electronic music concert tonight, and they're too drunk to even relate to what you're saying. You know, like, you could just have the wrong moment in these people's minds.
Speaking of my soul, girl. Oh my god. True. And that's what Brian has said. It's hard to pick your audience at the level you're
Yes.
performing. It's true. I would say most people in the indie music scene, 99%, like on these touring boards, anywhere, we don't have the luxury of choosing. I mean, that is a luxury. When
Yeah.
when any band gets to the level, band or solo artist gets to the level where people are demanding you come to their town and the whole room's going to be full of people who already know your music, that's a different experience.
That's got to be crazy.
Yeah.
It's intimidating too, though, because I feel like one luxury, maybe, I'm making assumptions, I have no
Oh,
idea, but
your mind.
one
I love
one luxury potentially in the position that you're in is also maybe there's less of an expectation. Like,
mm-hmm.
if just using Lizzo again for an example, like if she goes to a show now and doesn't perform her hottest songs, everyone's gonna be like, I didn't even hear the song that I like. But with you, anything they hear is fresh and new and can be the coolest thing, you know? So that's kind of cool at the same time.
Oh, you're
But
right. I remember when I heard about James Taylor having to be stuck still performing, and this was like, 10 years ago, someone told me, like, poor James Taylor, he's performed, which one is it? You've Got a Friend for 30 years, and every time he plays a show, no one will let him not play that. And I'm like, I don't know who I'm imitating with that voice, but that's how it felt when I heard that. I was like, ooh, I don't want that. Like, I don't
yeah.
want people to decide this is your hit. I just told that to Brian. I cut one of the songs off my first album I ever released. It was on my Jessica Fogel account. And I released an album called Melancholy Frog, and you can tell by the artwork more in my trauma than I had like boards nailed to my face. I won't get deep. Well, it was a frog. I drew a frog and nailed boards to his face. I'm not going to get deep into that. But anyway, there was a song on there. It was track 13, and it was called Elephant Rug. And it says the B word like 13 times. And I remember when I was like kind of reinventing myself, I was like, well, the whole reason I cut that song from the album is not because I'm embarrassed of the B word. Like, I was struggling with some stuff, and I said it, and it helped some people.
Yeah.
One of my friends came up to me after a show. I don't think she was mad that I didn't play it. I think I had played it at that show. And she came up to me very confident. I was going to say aggressively, confidently, and said to me, that's how I sometimes experience, or I used to experience confidence. She came
Yeah.
very assertively, that's the word, assertively, and said, that's going to be your hit. That's going to be your hit. And she just wouldn't drop it. And maybe she was drunk. I don't know. But she would not drop that was going to be my hit. And once she put that in my head, I was like, I can't keep playing that.
I don't want it to be.
It was aggressive. It was unforgiving. It was unprotecting. It was fun. It sounded cool. But it was,
Right.
I didn't want to be known for that. So, yeah, it's weird. And that's a really valid point that, like, at one level, you may feel more unknown, but you're also more free. And at the other level,
Yes.
you may feel more known, but now there are lots of expectations on you. And so that's why I kind of let go of the fame dream, because I'm just like, that if that came, I would only want to deal with that if it was for the right reasons, or if it was because it was like almost spiritually guided. I would not want to deal with that because I think it's some pie at the end of the rainbow. I think I'm
Yeah.
first, but yeah, you know what I mean.
That's so true. I mean, one example that I can think of that is I had the opportunity to work the meet and greet at a Peter Frampton show, which is
Oh,
kind of
what?
funny. And he like is so talented. He's super old, like 70 something or something. And they're like, so the meet and greet, obviously people pay like a lot of money to come and freak out at him. And
Right.
these women that are like obviously older than me, and I guess I didn't identify, I kind of think more younger people behaving like fangirlish, but it was this older generation that was like, oh my god, I can't believe it's you, blah blah blah. And he just hated it. He's standing there like, I am like so talented, and you're like, because he was the hot guy, he was hot when he was younger, and so all the older women are like, I remember how hot you used to be or whatever. And he's like, do you remember that I still am like one of the best musicians
Oh, that's,
ever,
yeah.
So he's like known for this image he created when he was young. And at this point, like, people always kind of sometimes try to say like famous people are just normal people. Well, when you're Peter Frampton level, been famous since you were like a teen, you're not a normal person.
You're
Like,
having a normal person experience, not normal.
right.
And yeah, so that really is a different experience in life. And that's not very relatable for most people. And most famous people have to probably just be quiet about it because it would make them very unlikable if they were to like complain about being famous,
Yeah, because
right?
what he looked like he wanted to say is like, you are acting ridiculous. Because these women were acting ridiculous. I was like, oh my God, like you're freaking him out. Like the look on his face, he was like,
Right.
and it's like, is this really how you want to meet someone you admire? Like, I don't know. So there's blessings in both ends because, of course, he probably made a lot of money. He got to play on a big stage.
Yeah,
That's all positive. Everyone was singing his songs, but at the same time, like, how would it feel to like not? They weren't treating him like a human. He was like a pretty object, you know?
exactly. Because, right, yeah, he kind of is like a thing in their memory, right? It's sort of like, oh, but that kind of ties back to what we were talking about compliments, which is actually really interesting. I don't know, it's making my mind kind of light up right now. Just this idea of like, all of those people having given their positive energy to him. So he's like receiving it, and then like they're part of his story, and he's part of theirs, and just sort of like it kind of makes you think that like fame or um, uh, being obscure, being unknown, or just being like known in a small community, it kind of is like that's related to that same topic of like compliments and like how people kind of become part of our world and we become part of theirs. And so it's sort of
Right.
what point does it get to be too much? At what point is it, who knows? Yeah.
And
No.
potentially skewed. Like, what do
Yeah.
they really know about him?
Yeah.
You know, that
Uh,
he used to be hot when he was younger. Now he played these songs that they know. And then, whereas you making all these videos, actually pouring your heart out and sharing and being vulnerable because you have the opportunity to do so, like someone giving you a compliment knows a lot more about you than those crazy ladies know about Peter Frampton.
well, I hope so. I mean, that's my goal. And my goal, it's like I understand that most people won't watch any of them ever. Like, that's where I'm at with it. And I don't know if that's comforting because it means I can feel free to share anything because I feel safe knowing that most people won't ever watch it. I don't know if it's that. Or if it's more like as a person with a lot of trauma, which I don't like to lead with anymore, but it's relevant to that point. I think that I have needed the sort of psychic space to even figure out who the heck I am. Like I didn't know what a yes man I was, and not in the like Jim
Mm,
Carrey movie sort of way. I just didn't know. I didn't even realize I was doing it. That's back to the Reddit thing blowing up on Reddit right now today. Like the comment I posted on Reddit was, I don't know it word for word at all, but it was just about like basically trying to tell other sensitive souls like it's okay to have preferences. Like how weird is it that half the world doesn't even know that it's okay to speak up for their preferences because half the world is assuming that they can't have a voice. And the other
yeah.
is maybe over doing their voice. But I'm not even saying this as a criticism against the people that really knew from childhood on how to be strong and confident, because it's not a criticism against them. It's more like just dropping my ukulele because I talk with my hands. It's more just like an awareness of systems. Like
Yeah.
if any family dynamic or any social dynamic in middle school, there is the loud one or the confident one, and then the more followers. It's just like these are just systems.
Right.
And I guess I just kind of look at the world now and I just see it like why I ramble so much on YouTube is because I am one of the ones that wasn't speaking. I'm one of the ones that was so sensitive to if a group of four people, and I'm not saying I'm like nicer than other people. I was more obsessed with kindness than other people. So in any group scenario, I wanted to be perceived as kind more than I think a lot of other people. But it became so confining. Like my own desire to be defined by being the kind one was confining me. And then
Yeah.
I didn't feel free to be the one who just is like, let's just do it this way. Hey, let's
Yeah.
try this song. And that's true in a band, that's true in friends, that's true in relationships, that's true in family dynamics. I just was never the one. So I was like, where do you want to go out for dinner? Anywhere you guys want, like
Yeah.
thanks. Oh, James just posted something funny. It made me laugh. All right, I got a screenshot though. You're funny.
That is super
But
funny.
it is true. Yeah. So anyway, yeah,
I
and
feel that.
yeah,
And the imbalance is so interesting, just in the ways that some people are so comfortable being like, no, I don't want to do that. Or I want to do this. And then other people are like, oh, I don't want to sound too demanding. I'm not going to tell them
yes,
I want to do that. I'll just do this. And then maybe next time we'll get to do what I want. But then never
never.
express.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so complicated and so just different how different people are and how the influences, which I feel like it's beautiful that you don't feel like your trauma enters the room before you do, but it does define part of maybe why certain behaviors show up in your personality, you know? So I think it is totally relevant in that because through your lived experience, you were like, maybe it's just better if I don't say what I want and I just do what I'm supposed to do. And other people in their experience, whether a different response to a trauma or being lucky enough not to have to experience a trauma,
Yeah.
they were like, no, I'm going to say what I want to say, and that's how it is. Why should I not say what I want to say? And the diversity and like the human experience is just crazy. Like, I was
Mm-hmm.
just listening to, have you ever listened to Duncan Trussell's podcast?
That name sounds familiar, but I don't think so. No.
It's really good. He just rambles about a bunch of crazy stuff with other people who also enjoy rambling about crazy stuff. But one thing he said today was like how interesting it is that like there's someone the same age as me
Mm-hmm.
from my hometown, you know, who has, you know, we've had a relatively similar life experience on paper. We're from Duluth, Minnesota. We're this age. We went to this school. You know, all those
Right.
basic things may be the same. But we could think two totally opposite things about like a fundamental topic. Which how bizarre is that that we have all these similarities, but then something that, you know, let's just say racism, because I feel very strongly about that. I'm like, it's so wrong to be racist, but someone who had such a similar experience may be super racist. Which how weird is that that something so
Mm-hmm.
fundamental, we have a pretty similar lived experience, but those interpersonal relationships can have enough of an effect that such a big opinion can be different. And it feels
Yep.
just as true to both of us.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which that's what is so hard to imagine, I think, that
Mm.
someone else's truth is as true to them as yours is to you, you know?
Yeah.
Isn't that
Oh, it
weird?
hurts. It hurts, and that's why I probably am spending all this energy, maybe futilely, maybe completely like what someone could call a waste of life. But I can't call it that because I'm feeling more joyful and alive than I've ever felt.
Yeah.
Like I'm pulling all this stuff out of my heart that was just like tangled and in knots to find what even are my preferences, what even are my beliefs. Like I think that yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have a lot of feelings about what you just said. Like it's really interesting to think about.
It is.
Said it
And
so similar and so different time and be so fundamentally opposed on certain topics. And then like some of my closest people in my life have fundamentally different feelings than me about like politics or whatever. And it's really sometimes it's as tiny as one thing that's different in our life. Like one aspect of how we have like a family life thing that's different. And because of that, I'm just so conscious that I'm talking with my hands now,
it's
which
okay.
drags me. I do talk with my hands now.
I'm just
But
holding my phone. That's the only reason why I'm
like
not.
holding my phone because this is a very weird angle and I have cuter posters in my room than this. Where are they? I have the
Ooh, and
rainbow.
a plant.
That one's kind of cute, but like, I don't know. I get really shaky cam when I hold my phone and I haven't bought a gimbal yet, so I'm like, well, I'll just put it back down.
I need to buy one too. I'm holding it with both hands so I don't shake.
So you don't shake. Yeah, exactly. I've said it on like the last like 10 liner notes in my YouTube. Like, I'm gonna get a gimbal soon, but I'm like 4 months behind in uploads. So as I'm uploading them, I'm like, I keep saying I'm gonna get a gimbal soon, but someone still has to watch. If who's watching? Like I said, back to that. Like, I don't expect everyone to be watching these, even to be watching one. Like, I think that's what I mean when I say safe space. I think something in my trauma brain realized that if I share everything, the odds of anybody really getting too close, like they would have to be really dedicated. Like shout out to James. Like you for a while, James, you were like, I watch those in the morning when I'm like making breakfast or some cute thing like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what it feels like to have like that kind of diehard fan. So thanks, James. But
That's
like there's but that's not what I'm looking for because I think in a weird way, like I think the amount that I share, like I think there's some part of me that understands that there's no one person that would ever really get close enough to consume it all, so to speak. And
and
I think that feels safe to me.
if they do, they obviously identify with it, you know? So then that's powerful. Like, because they're definitely not going to watch it if they're like, whoa, this lady's crazy. I don't want to watch this.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good point.
Because
Oh,
I
such good
totally,
reflection on my end. Okay, go on, sorry.
no, it's okay. I totally felt that way when I started doing this. I was like, I don't really care if anyone watches because I get to have cool conversations with people. So who cares if anybody else watches it? And then I had some people be like, I watch your thing every, like you're saying, like every time I do this or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, like they must really like me. That's so nice. And like to think that anyone would take the time to listen to me talk, I'm like, wow, what a gift. Like, I'm just so honored. And right now, there's 7 people choosing to spend their time listening to us talk. And I feel like I could like cry about it right now, honestly. It's like so beautiful. Don't, because you're emotional too, so you will make me cry.
Dude, I'm gonna be all theory, and also Brian just said something so funny. That would be insane if somebody hate watched you. I'm screenshotting that. That's hilarious.
That
Brian.
is a really good point, too.
Honestly, really true.
And I'm glad you said something funny because look how ready my tears are. That's
Oh
so
my gosh,
funny.
that's hilarious.
Okay, I have a couple points that I do want to get to. So, one thing
Okay.
that you mentioned to me that's super exciting is you're working on 2 albums right now.
Mm.
And do you want to talk about what your intention is with those and when we can expect to be blessed with them?
Sure. Okay. So this is, I think of the way to say it. So the 2 albums that I'm working, everything's old at this point, like because I went through such a phase of like playing. Oh, someone said something nice that I don't know. So hi,
He's
Sisa.
awesome.
Okay, hi. So as I mentioned to you, like I did so after 365 songs in 365 days, the next year I did 12 albums in 12 months. So that was 2018 into 2019. So 12 albums in 12 months. I tried so hard to not fall into like Daniel Johnston is a huge hero of mine. So like I love the idea of being lo-fi if it's well received. But like I struggled hard in this 12 albums in 12 months with like, am I lo-fi? But like I had always done, like I said earlier, like I had always put like, 5 years between albums and like paid money or prior to that, just didn't release anything. Because I was like, I don't want to put something out there that's not perfect. That's like my A student nature mixed with my trauma, mixed with my fear, mixed with my no one's going to like me, mixed with who knows what. So like to switch over and become like, okay, well, I did 365 songs in 365 days. So like I should do 12 albums in 12 months and I should just get these songs somewhere people can just listen without watching.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a good idea, but I remember feeling like really intimidated by how to get the quality good enough to make me feel happy. And luckily I
Yes.
James champions of the world who like love lo-fi music and help me feel more confident about that. Like, wait, and I loved lo-fi music. Like some of my favorite bands sound lo-fi, and I was like, okay, I know I even love this. Why am I feeling insecure about this? So I just started doing it, and then it became addictive the same way the YouTube is. So it's not just 12 albums in 12 months. Like if you go to my Bandcamp, you'll see like 25 things, and the bottom 2 or 1 are like a professionally produced studio album. Then one's a reaction to, well, now I'll just say it. Earlier I didn't just say it, but one's a reaction to Trump. Like I have these 2 songs and I want them to just be out there. So that's actually related to the album I'm now working on. So this album,
Wow.
Everything's True. It's kind of some love songs for Brian, written in 2014 when we met. It's some really like heavy spiritual stuff. It's like a friendship love song for my best friend's sister who like saved my life more times than once. And it's, there's a lot of stuff in there. And that album, because I didn't have confidence back in 2015 when I first started. So I wrote them all in 2014, and then in 2015 I started recording it. And all it took is one person, a person I love who means nothing but all good intentions towards me, said one comment, and the way she said it, not even to be mean, just kind of made me think, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't be releasing a new album yet. And I just shut the whole thing down. And so then when 2016 came around, I was like, why am I not putting this stuff out here? So I just like impulsively put some of it out there. Then the 365, then the 12 albums in 12 months. And then my Bandcamp just became this like collection of lo-fi, almost crazy lo-fi. And then like this year too, with quarantine, I was just like, let me just share whatever.
Right.
And I think where I'm at now, like the reason that's all related is because you would see my Bandcamp and it would look like I've been a recording artist for a long time in some consistent way, but it's the opposite. It said I've been songwriting since I was 3 years old. But if you go to my old Bandcamp, jessicafogel.bandcamp.com, or you go to my new one, jessicandtherainbow.bandcamp.com, both of them are, like they were meant to be just the like one or two hi-fi projects. And then like in the last year or two just went like crazy with the lo-fi and was just like, wait, I have these 10 albums I wrote when I was in Chicago, let me put them on the Jessica Fogel one. And then wait, let me do this 12 albums in 12 months. Wait, it's quarantine, let me just release. And I put it in quotes because like the music I love is high produced, it is high quality. Like some lo-fi stuff I love, but like I just became like I feel like almost like a version, and I'm just going to self-congratulate because I am not in a mood to be mean to myself right now. I became like good crazy. I became like, dude, this is energy. This is potency. This is YouTube. This is a resource. Why are we not all sharing ourselves? Why are we not all just putting out, like there are people watching here tonight that if they just put out what they would consider their crap, I would listen to all of it. I would be so in love with it because I love these people that are in here right now. Like I know some of them and I'm just like, if all of you released more, I would be so into it. You would know.
Yes.
And I'm just like, so I became that person. I became like a champion for that. I became like okay, why aren't we all just going dump?
I love that. Because really wasn't internet the ideal like connection? And now it's like this really, instead of being like a plug-in to real life, it's like this manufactured alternate reality.
Yep.
Like it's not like, oh, let's learn more about Mackenzie. It's like sometimes I feel like my Instagram is me trying to be like me, buy my graphic design,
yes.
blah, blah, blah. And I've finally started straying away from that. Like I still do my nerdy stuff, like try to stick with my color scheme and take some cute pictures.
Yeah. It's a business too.
At other times, one thing I've really gravitated away from is my captions, I always used to be like some song lyric or like some bratty thing. And then
not bratty, it's intentional.
True.
It's not bratty. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, some, I guess, assertive, like you were saying, and maybe not assertive with a purpose. Whereas now, when I'm posting a picture, I'll be like, what am I thinking about right this moment? And sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to type about how today I cried because I did this or whatever, because that's what people relate to. If I post some kind of trying to be cool caption, people are like, wow, I can't relate to that energy.
Right.
But when you say something like we've been saying this whole time, vulnerable, people are like, wow, I can really relate to that,
Yep. Now, it doesn't make you famous. That's one thing to keep in mind, or at least in my experience, it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't make you more comfortable in the world. It doesn't make you more openly praised in the world. It doesn't, hi, I see Amber. It doesn't create results. And this is the thing I feel like I'm starting to finally just grab and hold on to like a hug from the universe. Because I thought that if I followed the flow of the universe, 365 songs in 365, blah, 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 12 albums in 12 months, I thought that if I followed the flow of the universe and instead of hiding the hundreds of songs that I used to write every year and thought sounded so trite to just say, and if instead of hiding it, I showed it, I can't believe I'm admitting this in an interview, but I thought that almost for sure meant that the world would see this insane amount of creative energy flowing through me, that I would be perceived like some sort of genius in touch with 1,000 songs a year, and people would like literally just bow down and buy my albums. And I'm not saying I meant that in a manipulative way.
No, I
Manipulative.
know
I
what you
literally
mean.
thought the world would respond to vulnerability differently than they really do. They do not. They do not. There is a reason we are all trying to be the cool kids. There is a reason we are jockeying for position and we are trying to seem elusive and mysterious. We are doing that because that is actually what sells crap. We are not, it does not sell crap to become Mr. Rogers and Bob Ross and whoever else I'm imitating while mixing it with trauma healing. Like, it does not sell crap. It makes you like some sort of strange social pariah that people both are inspired by and confused by and terrified by. People are I swear people are like terrified or just uncomfortable with me. This much energy is not normal. There's nothing normal about anything I'm saying right now.
Or
So,
it's normal, but that's not what people look for on the internet.
yes.
They look for like idealized, like half of the people that people look at on Instagram don't even look like they look like on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, I said that really stupid, but
No, no, no. You just
they
calmed me
don't
down.
even
Thank
look
you.
like that.
You
You
took all
know?
my energy and you like threw it back like a very kind little ball. You're like, here you go.
It's
Sensible love
okay.
thought. It's okay. It's lovely.
And I feel you, like, because it's that balance of, like, in music and in life, it's a balance of the lo-fi and the hi-fi. Like, people want to see you ramble and make music in your bathtub or something. Well, that's kind of weird. I didn't think
I've
about the
never done.
nudity involved. But and people also want to see you playing on a huge stage with all the professional equipment and blah, blah, blah. You know, there's value to both of those things. Like, I'm personally really into hip hop music. I love seeing someone perform on stage with their attitude and like a car behind them and blah, blah, blah. But then I love when my friends freestyle at a party and it's
Right.
like they're saying stupid
Exactly.
stuff or whatever. You know, there's like so much potent energy in both
Yep.
of those experiences that create like totally different feelings. Like when I'm watching a rapper on stage all professional, I'm like, this is like the coolness is like rubbing off on me. I'm feeling that
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
But then when someone like is just vulnerable and raps at a party and says some dumb stuff, the like
Oh my God.
confidence and like funniness of it also rubs off, and that's super fun, like fun energy as well, you know?
It's almost the same. And in fact, I almost feel like the fame dream stole from the 99%. No offense to the one percenters who have made it to some mythical top, but the fame dream has stolen from the 99.999% what was always any creative person's birthright, which was to be able to enter a space with actual other humans and just create or just flow or just riff or just vibe. And that, I swear, the way you lit up describing both things should not be equal if fame is really so much better than non-fame. It should not be equal, but you lit up as if they're equal. You lit up,
Yes.
this slick and polished, beautiful thing is literally equal to being at a party with 20 people or a house concert or just a basement gig. And that one person starts doing that, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I love this as much. You know, right? It's not the same kind of reaction, but it's a similar feeling of love. And
Right.
it'd be true if truly it's better and lesser than, you know?
That's so, so true. Yeah. And if I'm truly honest, where do I feel more comfortable to be myself? In the lesser than
Right?
situation. Which is it lesser than?
No,
Then
it's for sure
no.
lesser than. Especially because think of all the things you were saying about like Peter Frampton, like all the things that you have to lose and miss out on in order to become a brand or an image. And like I said, I mean, I never want to be against that because heaven forbid I ever become that. Heaven or become more of that because other people probably already experience me a little bit in that way as some curated thing just because I naturally choose certain things because I like them, and you end up with a kind of brand because you're just
Yeah.
being yourself mixed with your awareness of other people and what they resonate with. And it's just kind of a thing that happens in social media. So it's like, it's not a bad thing. It's just, so I never want to talk against successful people because I'm like, that's all they did is they just kept growing that. And they
Yeah.
successful in it, but
And
they
they're good at it.
yeah, and they're good at it. Yeah. And so there's nothing wrong with that from an ideological standpoint. It's not, there's nothing wrong with them for being there. What's wrong, in my opinion, is people who I had to put my to talk about what's wrong in my opinion is anyone feeling bad being in the 99.999%. Like, is there something
Yes.
they did wrong? And from my own personal experience, what's so painful to watch myself keep doing over and over, it's like a hamster wheel. Like, to see yourself kind of start to feel some momentum and connection to people, like I feel to you right now, and then to accidentally get lost in. I'm getting lost in my own language right now, but
No, you're okay. I'm following.
I feel okay. I feel like, because I know this wasn't a question, I just suddenly feel passionate about it. I'm also distracted by my boyfriend saying something really sweet right now. I love
He
you.
is being sweet. I noticed that too, but I was paying attention to you.
Well, all I guess I'm trying to say is that I think what tends to happen to people, I'll just stick with me, because, and why I talk about myself a lot is because I never want to presume what other people are experiencing, and I don't, and I learned that in therapy. Talk about yourself so that you're not assuming for other people, but then you end up accidentally doing that too long and too out loud, and then you notice you sound like a narcissist. But I'm not.
Yes,
Like
I
an
know what you
insane
mean.
empath, and so I'm like always worried about everyone else feeling comfortable. But then that trapped me in a box, so I had to be like, okay, so now I'm going to talk about myself so that I'm not presuming for you, but then I'm not presuming for you. Now I'm like, it's insane. It's all insane. So I just kind of let it all go and just did my own thing. But where was I going with that?
You
The
were saying
99.9. Okay. So I think that most creative people, so first of all, I think that technology just basically stole all our jobs. And I read this somewhere mixed with my own thoughts, but basically 100 years ago, all musicians, all artists, all poets, all theater actors, we were all needed, right? We were all needed because there wasn't recorded stuff. And then recorded stuff, robots, basically, recordings, entered the world. And now suddenly theater doesn't exist as much because now there's movies. And then the music industry doesn't exist as much because there's recordings of our own work. And
yeah.
people can go to a restaurant and hear the perfectly polished $40,000 recorded version, or they can pay artists some ridiculous peanuts amount to have us play here. And I don't want to get really negative right now, but that's why there is this 99.999% that wonders what their value is. We would not be in this mess if, and I'm not trying to go back in time. I'm not trying to go back 100 years. It's also an opportunity. It's also technology. It's also YouTube exists. Why would I not make 800?
Yeah.
Why would I not do a solo version of this podcast that you and I are doing right now twice a day? I do it. I do it anywhere. And the person you're actually reminding me of, my sister and I, we talk like 6 hours a week. And like 6 hours a week is a lot to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But she has that same kind of, I mean, you're different, but on this topic, you're similar. It's just this kind of pinball flow, and really attentive and really listening and really caring and really into ideas. And it's just like, why would I not, if YouTube exists, why would I not put that out there?
Yeah.
I feel like the 99.999%, and if this is the only thing I do with my life is to champion this, that's honestly, like, that might be what my purpose is. It's like, if the 99.999, I don't know why I'm sticking to that, percent doesn't know what their value is in a world that only reveres the 0.000 math, 0.001%, if that's, if they're up there and we're all thinking we need to be up there or we don't have value, if that's what's going on, if most of all of us don't think we have value unless we get up there, that's completely insane, and I want to eradicate that. Like, there is power, there is value, there is YouTube, there is go record something right now, go do a live stream. Don't care how many people are watching. Don't care how it makes you feel that your friend didn't come. Don't care that no one is watching you. Like, stop it.
Yes.
Stop. Do it if you want to do it, or don't do it if you don't want to do it, because that's also, but it's just like,
and one thing that I think that would help people to agree with that and feel it within themselves is if I feel like I don't have value because I'm not best designer in the world, then I have to admit, with that logic, then you don't have value. And I would never dare say you don't have value.
You're kidding me. That is
so
the best.
Why would I say that to myself,
No one's ever responded to this, probably because I hide on YouTube saying the same things to my, most people don't respond to me there. I was screenshotting, whatever. Oh my gosh, I was just screenshotting. And then I was like, wait, Mackenzie's words aren't on the screen right now. But try it.
It's okay. You can rewatch this later.
No,
it will
exactly
be
it.
posted on my page, so you'll have access to it. But
Oh, it's actually good I didn't know that beforehand because I've been being really bold and
Oh no, it's okay.
little.
See,
Holy crap. You would never look around at the world, at the people you love, at the people who are the 1 in the 20 people in the room who
yeah,
started freestyling. You would never think those people don't have value. If anything, there's some deep part of your soul that's trying to like rise them up. Because I see similarities in you and I with this. Like when I do house shows or any of that, or I used to create like festivals, there's this part of me that's like looking at these people, seeing them get down on themselves and think they don't have value. And I'm like, no, 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 no. And you're like,
yeah.
no, what do you
You
think about
want to be like, everyone, look at this person and how cool they are, you
that?
know? And
Yep.
someone feels that way about us too, you know? Like I'm doing it to you right now.
You are. So this is really interesting. I've never responded to what I was saying about the 99.999% with with what you said. And I have to stop saying that because it's just tangling my tongue and I'm losing
The
its value.
nines.
Yeah. But like I've never responded to that with what you said about questioning your own value, but yet you would never question someone else's value
Yeah,
level. I never would. I never.
exactly. And people who are seemingly at your level, which, you know, maybe sometimes you're like, I'm only this. You would never say to your friend, well, you're only
You're only
that. You know?
in years. If anything, you're just sitting there thinking, if you are only that, it's because they don't know you or they don't know you or why don't you try this? But you
Yeah.
don't say all that either because that's pushy. You know, you kind of let people do what they want on their own time and terms. But
Or just maybe you're only that to so many people, but you're all of this to me. You know, which how powerful is that? Oh my
I'm
God.
so excited you're going to be making my logo for my songwriting life
Me
YouTube.
too.
Like, I'm going to always remember this conversation.
We're gonna infuse
And
it with this energy.
seriously. Oh, so anyone who doesn't know, yeah, I had actually been thinking about writing, Mackenzie, about being the one to make my logo for this YouTube channel that isn't formulated or isn't even, it doesn't have any cohesiveness at all. But I was like really inspired by yoga with Adrienne, whom I love. And so I watched those and she has this cute little logo that she puts in 30 seconds into her intro. And it's just her like sitting there, like glitching and twirling. And then there's a logo. And I was like, oh, I love Mackenzie's Quarantine Dreams logo. I gotta get Mackenzie to do this. And then I was all excited. And then, like, I think the day I thought that, she wrote me about doing it.
I know, so weird. And this is episode 60 of this now. So kind of every week I'm like, do I really know any more creative people? And then you came in my mind and I was like, she should have been like one of the first people I talked to. How dare I not ask her? So it was super
That's
funny.
so
And for you
wild.
to say, like, I've been hoping you'd ask me, I was like,
Yep.
I have no idea why I didn't ask you. So that's very interesting.
From day one, I remember thinking that, like, ooh, I hope she asked me to do it. But at that point in time, I actually went through some really heavy stuff in late 2019. I had like two really triggering things that happened to me back to back. And if you're a person who has like a ton of trauma, especially like sexual trauma and like all these things, like it just was like I thought I was more healed than I was. Like I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
like you can really be sent back. And so I wrote an EP. I finally so see, let's spin it positively. Not because I believe in that, but like it is funny that when I was younger, I wrote so much really dark, heavy music. And then as I got older and I had never released that, I never also really wanted to go back and dig up that stuff and release this really heavy, dark music, even though I knew it could help people. But I just didn't want, why would I getting away from that want to go back and dig up stuff that makes me really feel like re-traumatized, right? So then I have these things that happen that are awful, and then out of it came an EP called Trigger Warning, and now I'm like, oh, I have an album now on my Bandcamp that straight up says explicit in all caps, and I swear a lot, and I'm like, wow, okay, in a weird way, that was the dream. Like I kind of wanted to have all the different facets of myself because I actually felt like before that happened, this is not me saying, and it's cool that I got really hurt in 2019, but
No.
it is me saying like I remember feeling like people in Michigan didn't know me. So I'm from Wisconsin, and then I lived in Chicago for my first part of my adult life, and then when I moved to Michigan, I went through some really hard stuff. Well, I went through a divorce, I'll just say it. And then it was just messy and nasty, and there's abuse and just bad stuff. And so I remember thinking, like, I just feel like I tried to heal from it really quickly. And then I tried to kind of sweep it under the rug. And I remember feeling like people in Michigan didn't know me. I remember feeling like they all thought I was this, like, rainbow, sunshine, build everyone up, yay. You know, like, I remember feeling like people were perceiving me inaccurately. Whereas when I was in Chicago, all I wrote were these like trauma bomb songs, and like not with any silver lining. Like it was just crazy. I sounded like
Mm-hmm.
satire meets Tim Burton, like warped cabaret is what people used to say. Like it was dark,
Whoa.
darker than Regina Spektor kind of dark. Like it was dark. Well, she's not even the right, but darker than Fiona Apple. She was like a big
Okay.
influence. And so it was just like really weird to be here and feel like people didn't know me. And then ironically or just sadly, yeah, last year some bad things happened. I wrote a trigger warning EP and I played a Fiona Apple cover show at the Pyramid Scheme with some other bandmates. And it was my favorite time being on stage ever because I got to like channel Fiona Apple and just like
Yeah.
on album. And we, me, Fiona Dickinson, and Maddie, and Nathan, all of us were just like this fake band for one night, and it was like it was dark and heavy and sad and cathartic, and I don't remember how I got on that.
It's okay because I can relate to what you're saying, where like your trauma and your expression of that, like in my hometown, a lot of people have me identified with like a traumatic point in my life. And
Mm,
then I also moved to Michigan,
right?
and that trauma was no longer part of my identity. And it felt weird, but so freeing. I was like, oh my God, you're not going to ask me about that because you literally don't even know about that. And that's so cool.
That's so
And
cool.
now, like you're saying, and like even though we have the ability to talk and connect about trauma, I no longer lead or feel like people need to know it. Like I will share it when it connects and when it's right, but I no longer feel like that's me. Like I don't need to tell you about that for you to know me, you know? Which is powerful. Like I feel like and healing is so non-linear. So
Yeah.
like you
Oh,
having that end of the year craziness, it's like that is kind of a bummer sometimes when you're like, I have everything figured out, and then you have a mental breakdown and you're like, oh no, I do not. That was
no,
scary.
not at all. That was way too easy to trigger. Like that's
Yes.
fine.
And
You're
that's
like
like
lighting my mind up. I don't even know what the heck.
it is crazy. Quarantine has been actually a big process of that for me. Like, because I'm always so like, go, 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 especially in the festival world. Like, I'm in one state, then another state, working constantly. And then quarantine happened, and I was like, whoa, I'm still not like quite mentally balanced out.
Yep.
And like, now I have like, I do therapy. I'm even on a little bit of meds that help me because my brain doesn't make the right chemicals. And I'm like, this is awesome, you know? Like now I'm figuring out who I am without anything and how I can feel my best self without the identity of being a festival worker, without the identity of traveling all the
Yes.
time, without my trauma defining me. It's like, how do I feel right now? And how can I feel better? And if it's talking about some old thing that I thought I was over, fine. If it's talking about where I hope to be in 10 years, fine. You know, like whatever I need to feel good right now is just right now. And it might change tomorrow. We're on a roll.
Wow. Oh, that's such good stuff, girl. I can't even again with the mind being over. Oh, and I need to screenshot again because Brian called me nega Jess. No, I'm kidding. Actually, Brian brought up a point that I really think is true, and I don't understand it. I had never been to Michigan before. I had quite a bit of trauma already accumulated, and who knows? Who knows if this is real? But it feels real for me. Like I felt very here's what came in my mind when you were talking. The biggest thing that came in my mind was the concept of blind spots. Like I think that when I was really clinging to an identity of being a kind person, which was part of my way of getting out of my trauma self that was fine with just writing songs that just say the B word 13 times or whatever. Like it just my trauma self was similar to my YouTube 800 videos self, but that those are a little more peace and love and just a focus towards how can we rebuild, whereas my trauma self was like anything goes, f you, and just like anything. And I just think that when I came to Michigan, I didn't come for this reason, but I stayed maybe for this reason. Aw, people are saying nice words. I feel that when I stayed in Michigan, it just started becoming true, and I don't know why it became true. But my blind spots just started like showing themselves to me really clearly, almost freakily, and way too fast for me to process. So I was just like, what? I thought I was so nice, but then I just did this to this person.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I thought I was this, but turns out I'm really easy to trigger on this topic, you know, and it just was like boom, 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 boom. And so, you know, like, so whether or not it's actually true or whether or not it's just felt true in my life, um, sorry, screenshotting the sweet people saying goodbye. Goodbye. I'm just really bad at multitasking. So I'm like, if I
It's
screenshot,
okay.
I'll appreciate their comments later. But anyway, yeah, so I feel like I feel like I don't know why. I don't know if Brian's right about it being the water, but like I feel like living in a place that is this much water oriented, like there's water all around, we're over a natural body of water. Like I literally feel, I used to use the word like swampy to describe Michigan. Like it's just like water everywhere. And like I have family in Minnesota where you live. Like I
Yeah.
have family in Colorado now. And that is dry, you know. Brian's like, this is recorded, Jess. What does that even mean? Oh,
Hey, actually, the comments
got the
won't be
comment.
there. They
Yep,
won't be
comments
there.
won't be there. Exactly. So I'm but truly, so anyway, I find my point on that is just that I don't, I, I never, I don't know why this is true, but Michigan has been a place of greater healing in my life than anywhere I've ever lived. And I didn't want to say that because I've also had a lot of pain here.
Yeah.
But some of it was of my own creation through not knowing my own blind spots. Like I didn't,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think
I
it's
feel that.
response to that the comments won't stay.
I think so too.
I think so. Because
But
dang it, I want to save all of his cute ones. Like they're so wise. And like, oh my gosh, James had the cutest ones, and all these people I don't know. I'm just gonna go through and screenshot everyone.
go
I'm
for
just
it.
kidding.
What I
Go ahead and tell.
what I learned about water,
Tell
which
me.
is
Oh my
weird,
gosh.
is and if you want to get all hippy dippy, you can think about how the moon
We can get
affects the
hit.
water and how maybe the moon could be affecting us too. But water like emits, I'm gonna get the sciencey part wrong. That's fine.
I'm just
So
plugging
it's
in because I'm
either
afraid that my phone is dying, but I'm listening. Okay, go ahead.
okay. So water emits. Sorry, my phone paused for a second. My
Oh, so
phone
it is
or
okay. I thought it was on
water,
my
excuse
end.
me.
Sorry.
I'm confusing myself. So water emits like positive ions. And something about that literally affects us on like a primal level, like in
Oh my
regards
gosh.
to happiness. Like there's science about like, because before it was logical, you know, like people needed to be around water, they'd die because it's you need
Right.
water. And so
Well,
they
like
like,
travel, like send stuff on boats, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Resources.
because of that, like logically, you know, if you think it's God or if you think whatever design, magical design makes humans, it would make sense. Like, make the humans happy when they're by water so they stay alive, you know? And so I think there really is like a basis to that idea. I don't know. And here, the water, like when I'm by the lake, all of a sudden my mind is like, okay, like we can just chill and think logically about this, you know?
Yep.
I don't know.
Exactly. Oh yeah, because you're like, so the Mississippi River has a strong pull on me as well. The whole time there's an Indigo Girls song that talks about it, and now last time I crossed the Mississippi River, creepy. Let me say, I don't think James is still here, but I'm still gonna tell this story because I think it's so cute. So I was driving back from Minnesota by my family. It was the time I was gonna come stay in your backyard in my tent.
Yeah.
So, okay, hold on. I'm almost done screenshotting everybody that I want to say hi to and or search up and or stalk. Okay. We got, oh my gosh, there's been a lot of comments. I just can't multitask is the real problem here.
It's
Look at
okay.
that. There's all these sweet people.
I know,
Brian
it's amazing.
congratulated you. Brian's like, congratulations on your 60 episodes. You've probably seen all of this because you can probably multitask.
I
I'm just
have
not.
gotten used to it, but I understand. And it's exciting. I don't mind you screenshotting. It's cool to have people saying nice stuff to you.
Exactly. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, Mississippi River. So James, so it was a day I had left my brother's house. A lot of my family lives in Minnesota, and then My sister, like I said, just moved to Colorado, but I was from Wisconsin originally. So Minnesota was like, oh my gosh, should I share this thing? So when I was younger, I read a book at the library. I was 18 years old, and I found a book that said it was from a particular Native American tribe that I do not remember, and it drives me crazy because I would love to credit them. So please, if anyone knows. Um, Oh, Brian just screen recorded the comments. I love that man. Kind man. Okay, so this particular um, Native American tribe believed in, well, it's vision quests, but I don't want to hijack or co-opt somebody else's belief system. So I was just trying to like mine it. Like I just remember it from 18 years old, like reading this idea that you could go on a quest, you could go, or even if you don't call it a quest, like you could just go travel, head north, and this particular tribe believed that heading north was like a way to like journey into your own mind, and a lot of it you can really kind of understand by the body, and heading south on some sort of journey would travel you into your heart. And so if you wanted to like resolve issues in your mind, travel north. If you wanted to resolve issues in your heart, travel south. If you wanted to resolve, and this is where I got really stuck. In fact, Brian is like,
don't do
if you
it.
wanted to solve issues in your past, you would travel east. And if you wanted to solve issues in your future or work things out in your future, you would travel west. And so if you look at, not that anyone knows my life, but if I look at my life, I have traveled east. I've been to every eastern state. I have been to Europe, almost all the countries. I have been, not almost all the, oh my gosh, bleh, but I've been to a lot of places, and I have been almost nowhere west. And if you look at how I've dealt with trauma, it has been past, 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 past. Let me go to therapy. Let me dig up. Let me exhume. Let me deal with everything from my past. Let me never build a future until I've resolved my past. It's complete insanity. And when my sister moved to Colorado, I had almost a psychic split. My brothers lived 6 hours west of me in Minnesota my whole life, and that was my only west. It was a very safe west. Like, okay, I would just visit my brother, and then I will come back. But other than considering moving by him one time in my life, so the Mississippi River. So anyway, so back to this cool, weird, like synchronistic thing that happened. So I was in Mississippi, by the Mississippi River, by my brothers in Minneapolis area, right after I drove past you, and I was having all these epiphanies about, where I was moving forward with my life. And as I was driving back across the Mississippi River, I was like, I need new music. I keep listening to the same few albums. And I was at a rest stop, and I checked an email, and it said that James, well, he goes by Ditch Lily. You should listen to his music. It's brilliant. And Brian C. Wolf recorded a lot of it, and Brian Ralph. Anyway, so I'm at a rest stop, and I see, James has just bought this album, and it was a 2014 album by Adrienne Lenker. And so I was just like drawn to it because I love Big Thief, and I hadn't really listened to any of her solo work. So I click on it on Bandcamp, and I think it wasn't the first thing I hear, although that makes a better story. I think it was the second song I heard. The second song I heard, she's singing, and she's like, I love Minnesota, Michigan, Colorado too, blah, 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 blah. And she lists the literal 3 states that I either live in or have family in or was considering moving to. And I was just like so creeped out anyway. And then there's all these songs in there that are about the Mississippi River and like all this stuff.
Wow.
There's the Indigo Girls song, The Mississippi Mighty, though it starts in Minnesota. And then there's the Adrienne Lenker song that was like, oh gosh, I just started covering it. It's called Indiana. It's like, Indiana, Indiana in the cold. I remember when I was, okay, hold on. Well, the Mississippi River won't kill you lest you stand too close, my dear. Take it to Louisiana, a long, long way from here. And so it's like all about like this idea of like the Mississippi River, the power of it, the might of it, and so like you're saying, like the healing and everything, and it's just like it's so intense. And then it goes along with my idea of like north, south, east, west. So then I was like her lyrics and this old Indigo Girl song that I used to listen to about the Mississippi starting like a pinprick. Well, the Mississippi's mighty, though it starts in Minnesota, at a point that you can walk across 5 steps down. And I guess that's how it starts, like a pinprick to my heart. But at this point, you rush right through me and I start to drown. So this is like idea of like starting small and growing. And so like the Mississippi River kind of like took over my heart because I was always like a Lake Michigan girl, and everywhere I've lived, Wisconsin, I lived on Lake Michigan. Chicago, on Lake Michigan, always within a few miles. Here in Grand Haven, on Lake Michigan. And going to my brothers in Minnesota, right by the Mississippi, was like a way of being like, there are other ways. There are other ways to heal. There are other ways to be. And I'm scared of them, but like, maybe they're okay.
Yeah.
I had never liked rivers before that, but yeah, it was just kind of like, whoa.
That is super powerful. And Lake Superior, of course, being here in Duluth, Lake Superior, my mama lake.
Oh my gosh.
But of course, the Mississippi River, I've always been around that too, and just that draw of water. And I always was very drawn to the Grand River in Grand Rapids, even though it's not some glamorous river. Just like walking by the river is such a different energy than walking like down Monroe or something.
Right.
Stressful energy, you know?
Wow.
Oh my
Yep.
God. This whole conversation, I have almost cried like 5 times.
I know. I think I'm like, is this longer than your usual? I feel bad that people are like having to like go. I'm like, whatever. I just always.
Oh my gosh. It is. So we started at 7:15. I was expecting, it's probably like 7:30. It's not. That's okay though. Remember, we talked about this. We can do whatever we want.
I mean, it's true. There really aren't rules.
Exactly. There used to be rules though. So I started with the standard of an hour because they would cut you off at an hour. But now a lot of people are utilizing Instagram Live for various different reasons. And so now the limit is 4 hours. So I think we'll end before 4 hours. But
yeah, 4 hours is intense even for me. I don't think I've made a 4-hour YouTube video. But I was thinking, okay, so I joined Reddit just to live stream. I don't know if I should say this, but Brian had this idea that the Reddit community would be a good place to live stream because almost all of my social media is people I know, and YouTube is very hard for anyone to ever find you organically. And the Reddit community just started doing all these like Reddit sessions. So I was like, yeah, so I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. And I'm normally not this open. I'm normally so like, I don't mean to be this way, but I think it's the trauma, or I think it's just me being some sort of like idiot. I don't know. I don't want to be down on myself. But normally if someone suggests something, I find the reasons why I shouldn't do it. And then it's a response. But for some reason, the day he suggested it, like you should join Reddit and just do some live streaming there, I was like, okay. So I joined. And then I get there and I was about to live stream. And they're like, you need to be here 2 weeks and you need all this like post karma. Like you have to post a certain amount of times. You have to comment on people's posts a certain amount of times before they'll like let you live stream. And I get that. Like they don't want people to just come there and be self-serving and then leave, right? They want people who are like part of a community.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'll try. And then I tried. Because I love talking. Like, I was like, I will just really involve myself with people. And so I did this whole past week. I'm only like 9 days old on Reddit. And I got so involved in just commenting and posting and and all these people's opinions and all these people's things. I couldn't even post a lot of places because you're not supposed to. Like, I'm new. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to help people and support and whatever. And so I'm doing all this. And then I noticed it wasn't like 125 for your blah, 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 your overall karma. It was like for your comment karma. And then I noticed I was only at like 30. I was like, okay. So I'm like, do I really want to just keep, deep diving into all of these relationships with strangers? And then I was like, yes, I kind of do. So anyway, so I posted something 2 nights ago in a parking lot. And it just like blew up like crazy. Like right now, my notifications are probably at like 90. I'm not supposed to respond to these people. I just love to. Like I like responding to people, and I like talking about theories and ideas and helping people with trauma or whatever. And so it blew up. So I'm at the right amount of karma now. So like I can live stream, but that just came like in one quick burst, and I was like, okay. So anyway, so why did I bring that up? Oh, because I'm gonna live stream this Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, because 4 hours. Because I was thinking almost jokingly of saying, like, I feel like I should say to get people to come, whether on my Instagram I say it or whether I just say it there, that like one time I did a 12 album release show 2 years ago. I did the 12 hour release show. And I did songs from all 12 albums. I did 12 songs in order. No, 20. It ended up being like 20 or 36 songs that I performed, and then like also 12 other artists performed, and it was at our house.
Okay.
So this was like 2 years ago at the end of the 12 albums in 12 whatever. So that was 12 hours, but I've never done like 12 hours online. So when you said the 4 hours thing, like I don't think I'm like, wait, that was partly my dream. Like now that I can do a Reddit one, I should just live stream for like 12 hours or something, right? 12 is my lucky number. Anyway.
You should. My friend, he's a DJ, and he did 69 hours live stream DJ. I was like, whoa. First of all, LOL at the 69. Second of all, insane. I was like, of course you have to make it funny, but also like, you know, you go through, you hit walls, you break through them. Like time really is a good teacher. So I think that's unique. But for sake of the 4 people sticking with us sanity,
right?
I will bring this to a close, but I want to give you an opportunity to share anything, like just things you have coming up, where the best way to stay, or where the best places to stay in contact and watch you are, whatever you want to share.
Okay. Well, one, and I will be brief. One is I never finished answering your question about the whole lo-fi chapter. The whole reason I brought that up was literally to answer your question about what's coming next. What's coming next is that I'm working with 2 different producers, one at La Luna Recording Studio, and one, people might know, Jake Kalmink of Further Closer or Fever Haze. I'm going to work with each of them on 2 different albums. One is songs from the 365 songs that I happen to do in a studio, like in my home studio, but they're high quality-ish. They just need tweaking and refining, and they need someone else to mix them. And so I was like, okay, rather than just throw this on the internet like I've been doing the last couple of years in my lo-fi phase, I'm going to really work with someone and like refine this. So that's called Tiny Traumas Adding Up, Out of Body in Your Skin, Volume 2, because I already released Volume 3, and that's one of my favorite ones too. It's got like, if you go on my Bandcamp, there's like 25 things, but there's like just a blue sky with clouds, and it says Tiny Traumas Adding Up, Out of Body in Your Skin 3. I was releasing them backwards because of some spiritual reasons. Anyway, one will be out someday, years in the future. So anyway, so that one's in the works, and then also the one that I'm bringing to La Luna Recording Studio down in Kalamazoo, working with a new producer there, Cynthia Kelly, I think is her name. But that is called Everything's True. And so that's the one that I brought up in, I don't know, an hour ago, where I just quickly dumped some music online in 2016 in response to politics, because I felt like I was holding on to music from 2014 that was so sacred to me and could help people, but I was holding on to it because of my perfectionism. And so that was like a leak into my lo-fi. I didn't know I'd get so crazy lo-fi, but so I leaked part of it, and then in oh no, it was this year. And then so I leaked Everything's True Part 1, and it's these 2 like 15-minute long songs that sound like you're adventuring in the forest with like fairies, and that's actually the one you reviewed. Oh my gosh, that's the one you reviewed.
That's so weird.
Holy crap. Well, anyway, I leaked Part 2. So there's like, oh gosh, I'm sorry everyone. So anyway, there's like I got excited and I jiggled my printer. Anyway, yeah. So I leaked another part of that album. Everything's True Part 2 is also up, but the point of bringing it to a producer is to be like, hey, one of my friends like took the time to like orchestrate it with like 20 orchestrated instruments. Another one of my friends is going to make like dance and choreography videos. She's a choreographer in London now, and she's going to like choreograph something. Another, the person who made my professional music video back in 2016, it's basically like I just lost confidence. And but this one who made this professional video back in 2016 said that they would work on a music video for one of these. And so it's just like, you know, I just had to like stop thinking lo-fi was my identity just because I enjoy it. You know, it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be either. It can be whatever you want, you know? So that's what's coming up next, is just me kind of getting excited again about some high quality music. And I'm not going to turn my back on lo-fi. Like if I feel like releasing something, I will. And I'm still doing the lo-fi YouTube and the lo-fi Instagram and whatever. But yeah, that's about it. And then all my socials, you know, click me and link to whatever, and I'm all over the internet. Yeah.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for your time today. I feel like we should like chat not on a live stream sometime because I really enjoy your energy. It was so positive talking to you, and I appreciate your willingness to share with me.
I appreciate you too very much. Thank you so much for asking me. And last thing I'll say, I'm super grateful you didn't ask me before episode 60, because where I'm at right now, who I feel like I am right now, I didn't know how to reflect myself well before. I feel like my own insecurities made me talk about myself negatively, almost accidentally. And lately, some sort of combination of reading maybe like the Bible and The Secret and like Law of Attraction stuff. I have no idea, but like some weird alchemy of all the things in Taoism and Buddhism and everything that I'm exposing myself to. Like, I feel like, yeah, I feel like I finally understand that if I talk negatively about myself, or if I talk against myself, then how can anyone else believe in me? And so this was like
Yeah.
such a joy. I feel like you are so pure and so positive, and so it just, I don't know, it just flows. It's beautiful.
Makes me
Thank you.
so happy. Thank you so much for your time and energy, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Sounds wonderful. And thanks everyone for being here. Or as Brian
Yes.
said, quarantine dreams. Yeah, I love it.
Bye.
All right. Good night. Bye.
What's up, you guys? Today we're going to be live with Lucas. He is the creator of the Flow Moth. As you guys know, I work in the festival industry, and I'm sure you also know that a lot of people play with flow toys like hula hoops, poi, all that kind of stuff. I had never gotten into a flow toy. I couldn't find anything that I really vibed with and like enjoyed dancing with, but I always loved to watch other people do it. And then my friend Tico actually let me play with his flow moth, and I fell in love with it. It's a really fun flow toy, and so I purchased my own and really like it, and so I'm excited to talk to the person who made them and see how the process was in inventing such a thing. So we will see. He should be joining soon, and we'll be able to invite him to the video. The flow moth was modeled after a balisong knife or a butterfly knife, if you guys know what that is. So it's pretty much like a light up version of that, which is a cool, unique idea. Alright, here we go. Hello,
Hello.
how's it going?
Pretty chill. Yeah, good. Trying to get out of my head. I'm not used to speaking publicly, but yeah, just gonna kind of flow with it. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing well. Is that your artwork behind you?
Uh, um, this one is. Then I have some of my friends and people close to me.
Oh, cool. That's
Uh,
awesome. Looks really nice.
yeah.
So, first, I just wanted to thank you for making the flow moth because it has truly been the first flow toy that I've really connected with, and I'm just curious what your process in creating it was.
Oh yeah. I mean, really, I created it for myself. Um, so little backstory. In high school, I played with butterfly knives, just kind of like as a little hobby I got into, and little did I know it's kind of like I like playing with things and making things. Legos
Hmm.
was like my go-to toy when I was a child, so naturally gravitated towards like manipulation. Um, and then fast forward like 15 years, my adulthood, going to festivals, having a good time. My wife now picked up a pair of poi from Flow Toys at LIB one year, and it kind of introduced me to the flow world. And it's like,
Right.
oh shit, like adults are allowed to have fun. And I could never get poi, and it never really clicked with me. So I kind of wanted to like bring my own thing. And then I happened to find this toy company that made flip bins. They're like
Okay.
they're at Target, and they're these plastic toys that are modeled off of butterfly knives. And I brought them to the next LIB that I went to, and just had so much fun. Just like feeling like I could express myself with movement.